Reproductive system. The process of sexual reproduction as a wonderful act in nature. This process, apart from ensuring a healthy progeny, provides an opportunity to produce enormous range of genetically varied offspring. Organisms have adopted several strategies for sexual reproductive processes. Such adaptations have resulted in suitable morphological, anatomical, and behavioral modifications. Human reproductive organs as internal and external genitalia are highly specified yet simple in their functioning. The functioning as in accordance with psychological and endocrinological thresholds. An academic approach toward an understanding of the human male and female reproductive organs and their functions will go a long way in avoidance of heretical, unhealthy, and hygienic practices encountered at specific period in life. Male reproductive organs. The male reproductive system consists of testes, singular testes, epididymis, ductus differentia or vasa differentia, urethra, seminal vesicle, prostate glands, bulbourethral glands, scrotum, and venous. Testes. Testes are the primary reproductive organs or gonads in the male. These are suspended in the scrotal tissues. The sperm cells are temperature sensitive. They do not develop normally at usual body temperature. Hence, the testes and epididymis and which the sperm cells develop are located outside body cavity in the scrotum, where the temperature is low. The left testis usually is 1 centimeter lower than the right one, and every testis is 4 to 5 centimeter in length, 2 to 5 centimeter in breadth. Its weight varies from 10.5 to 14 gram. The outer part of each testis is a thick white capsule called tunica albuginea. Internally, the testis contains several incomplete septa. The septa divide each testis into about 300 to 400 cone-shaped lobules. The lobules contain seminiferous tubules and interstitial cells or Leydig cells. Sperm cells develop within the seminiferous tubules. Vast difference. Epididymis, kite seminiferous tubule, tunica albuginea, testis. The seminiferous tubules are extensive. The combined length of tubule in both testes is nearly 800 meters. These tubules, through a set of short, straight tubules, open into tubular network called the reed testis. The reed testis in turn opens into efferent ductules. Internally, the tubules and ductules are lined by ciliated columnar epithelium. These cells help to move the sperm cells out of the testis. Epididymis. It is formed of extremely convoluted ductules coming out of the testis. It occurs on the posterior side of the testis. The maturation of sperm cells occur within the ductules of the epididymis. Vas difference or ductus difference, it emerges from the tail end of the epididymis and ascends along the posterior side of the testis. It becomes associated with the blood vessels and nerves that supply the testis collectively. These structures constitute the spermatic cord. Thus, the spermatic cord consists of vas deferens, testicular artery, and venous plexus. Lymph vessels, nerves, fibrous processes, and muscles. The cord enters into the pelvic region. The end of vas deferens enlarges to form ampulla. At this region, the vas deferens is surrounded by smooth muscles capable of peristaltic contractions. They help to propel the sperm cells through the ductus deferens ejaculatory duct. Nearer to the ampulla of each vas deferens, this is a sac-like seminal vesicle and joins the ductus deferens to form ejaculatory duct. These ducts are about 2.5 centimeters long. They project into the prostate gland and end by opening into the urethra. The male urethra extends from the urinary bladder to the distal end of the penis. It is about 20 centimeters long. It is passageway for both urine and reproductive fluids. The urethra is divided into three. They are the prostatic urethra. It is closest to the bladder and passes through the prostate gland. The membranous urethra. It is shortest part of the urethra and it extends from the prostate urethra. The spongy urethra or penile urethra. It is the longest part of the urethra. It extends from the membranous urethra through the length of the penis. There are several mucus secreting urethral glands opening into the urethral passage. Penis. It is the male copulatory organ. It consists of two parts, namely the radix or root and the carpus or body. The radix attaches the penis to the lower abdomen. The carpus is normally glandulous. It is covered by a loose skin. The corpus of the penis consists of three masses of erectile tissue, flooding these tissues with the blood is the penis to enlarge and become firm. These tissues are the right and left carpura, cavernosa, and median carpus spongiosum penis. Most of the corpus is formed of the carpura cavernosus. The corpus spongiosum penis surround the urethra and near the end of the penis it expands into conical gland penis. Its swollen base is the corona gland, the glandis. The skin over the penis is thin. It is loosely connected to the tunica albuginea. At the tip of the penis, it is folded to form the prepuce or the foreskin. It overlaps the gland's penis. The corona glandis and pineal neck have numerous preputial glands. Seminal vesicle. These are two sac-like structures located between bladder and rectum. Each vesicle is about 5 centimeters long. Their secretion contribute about 70% of the seminal fluid. Prostate. It is palm structure. It is muscular and partly fibromuscular. It is found around the beginning of the male urethra. It is about 3 centimeters in diameter. It weighs about 8 grams. The muscular part of the prostate may help in dilating the urethra to hold the seminal fluid 3 to 5 milliliters during the period of sexual excitement prior to ejaculation. After the middle age, the prostate often enlarges into the bladder and interrupt urination. Bulbourethral gland. These are two glands. They are small, round masses about 1 centimeter in diameter. They lie lateral to the membranous urethra. At secretion, may control genitourinary diseases. Scrotum. It is a fibromuscular sac. It contains the testes and their associated ducts. It is divided into right and left by a cutaneous raphe. Its left side is usually lower. The external appearance varies according to age and body temperature. The scrotal skin is thin and pigmented. It has numerous sweat glands and narrow endings. Female reproductive organs. In human female, the internal reproductive organs are the ovaries, uterus, uterine tubes, and vagina. Externally, the organs are Manspobis, labia majora and labia minora, clitoris, and vestibular glands. Ovaries. These are paired structures. The two ovaries are placed on each side of the uterus in the pelvic region. They are grayish pink in color. Each ovary is almond shaped. They are about 3 centimeter long, 1.5 centimeter wide, and 1 centimeter thick. This portion is cervix, this one is rectum, anus, urethra, pubic bone, urinary bladder, uterus, ovaries, fallopian or uterine tube, ureter. Human female reproductive system and organs. The ovary is attached to the posterior surface of the inner body wall by a membranous fold called mesoarium. The ovary is further supported by suspensory and ovarian ligaments. Ovarian structure in young female, the surface of the ovary is covered by a layer of ovarian surface epithelium. It consists of a single layer of cuboidal cells. Beneath the epithelium, the ovary is surrounded by a top coat named tunica albuginea. It is made of collagenous tissues. The ovary proper is divisible into two regions, namely the cortex and the medulla. The cortex region contains the ovarian follicles. The medulla is anterior. It issues blood vessels and nerves at the hilum. After puberty, the cortex forms the major part of the ovary. It contains ovarian follicle and corpora lutea of various sizes. Their size depends on the stage of menstrual cycle or age. The cortex is filled with stroma composed of collagen. The follicles are embedded in the stroma. Ovarian follicle or Digraphian follicle. Formation of the female gamete has many different phases and it is complex at birth. Primordial follicles are found in the superficial zone of the cortex. They contain primary oocytes about 25 millimeter in diameter. Each one of them is surrounded by a single layer of flat follicular cells. The follicles undergo changes as the female attains puberty. The various follicular stages are primary follicle. The follicles converted from squamous to cuboidal cells. The follicular membrane or membrana granulosa becomes multilayered. The oocyte increases in size. It has an outer thick layer called the zona pellucida. The follicular cells divide and form granulosa cells. Number two, secondary follicle. It is about 0.3 micrometer thick. The granulosa cells surround the oocyte and form a mound of cells called cumulus ovaries. The inner and outer theca become prominent. The theca interna is well established. Number three, tertiary follicle. Only one follicle reaches the tertiary stage. It increases in size, 2 millimeter diameter. Now it is called Graafian follicle. The oocyte and ring of cells surrounded the oocyte corona radiata break away and float freely in the follicular fluid. Finally, the wall of the follicle ruptures and contents are released into the peritoneum. The ovary of the fetus at 5 months gestation has 7 million oocytes. At birth, ovary of the child contains about 1 million oocytes. Due to further degeneration, at the time of puberty, only about 40,000 oocytes remain. Of the 40,000 oocytes, only about 400 undergo ovulation during reproductive years in whole life, not in whole life, up to 50 years. Corpus luteum. It is formed after ovulation. The walls of the empty follicle collapses and fold extensively. The granulosa cells of the theca externa get enlarged. They are now termed as luteal cells. They secrete hormones in pregnancy. The corpus luteum persists Otherwise, it degenerates after 10 to 12 days. The connective tissue cells get enlarged. It becomes white in color and is now called the corpus albicans. In course of time, it shrinks and disappears. Uterine tubes, fallopian tubes. There are two uterine tubes or oviducts, one on each side of uterus. Each one is associated with a ovary. Each tube is about 10 centimeter length. The terminal part of the tube is enlarged to form the infundibulum. It opens into peritoneal cavity. The opening is called the ostium. The uterine tube consists of three parts. The part nearer to infundibulum is called ampulla. It is the longest part. That part of the tube nearer to the uterus is called the isthmus. It is narrow. The tubular part entering into the uterus is called uterine or intramural part. This one is human female reproductive system. Uterine part, endometrium, myometrium, perimetrium, cervical canal, ostium, cervix, uterus, ovary, isthmus, fundus, vagina. Uterus. It is hollow, thick-walled, muscular organ. It is pear-shaped. It is about 7.5 centimeter long and 5 centimeter wide. It weighs about 50 grams. During pregnancy, its weight may go up to 1 kg. Its larger, rounded part is called the fundus. The lower part is called as the cervix. The cervix is directed inferiorly. The middle part is the body. The uterus continues as the cervical canal and opens into vagina through opening called the ostium. The wall of the uterus is three layered. The outermost layer is the perimetrium. The major part of the wall is made up of the next layer called myometrium and muscular coat. The innermost layer is endometrium or mucous membrane. Endometrium is a functional layer. It undergoes menstrual changes and slowing during female sex cycle. Vagina. It is female copulatory organ. It is fibromuscular tube. It is about 10 centimeter long. It extends from uterus to the outside. The vaginal passage is used during intercourse, and it allows menstrual flow and childbirth. External genitalia, vestibule. The external female genitalia is known as vulva or duodenum. It consists of vestibule and its surrounding structure. The vestibular region remains in the two labia majora. It contains the vaginal opening and the urethral opening. The vestibular region is surrounded by the non-pubis anteriorly and labia minora on the lateral side. Mons pubis. It is a rounded eminence situated anteriorly. It is made up of subcutaneous adipose connective tissue. It is covered by coarse hair at the time of puberty. It corresponds to similar structure in the male. Labia majora. These are two longitudinal folds of skin. They form the outer boundary for the vestibule. Labia minora. These two small skin folds lie between the labia majora. They remain nearest to the vaginal opening. Clitoris. It is homologous with male penis. It is an erectile structure. It is found in the anterior margin of the vestibule. It is a sensitive region having sensory receptor. Hymen vaginae. It is a thin mucous membrane. It is found within the vaginal orifice or opening. If the membrane completely closes the vaginal opening, it should be removed to allow menstrual flow. In young women, the hymen may normally get turned during physical exercise. In some women, it may be absent. This is an important point for married couples. It has no established function. External urethral opening. This opening is about 2.5 centimeter below the clitoris. It is anterior to the vaginal opening. It remains as a small cleft.